Well, this is one of the works in the show, and I am putting a few promises that I've made in postcards that depict transportations that I've taken to do a work. It's a promise to make my best as an artist. I just wanted to put the postcards in some books in the library, so that somebody in the bookshop, so that somebody will take them, will find them by surprise, hopefully. When I first did it, it was a very personal thing. It was just something I wanted to write down, and it was the kind of a specific moment in my career that I wanted to take a breath and say, you know, I could probably do this, and it was a moment where I thought maybe I should change my career, and maybe nothing is really happening with my work, and so it had to do with a very personal thing of sort of giving myself one more chance to try to do it the best way I could. So it's really something that I wrote for myself, and then eventually it took its own path, and then I figured out that if I keep doing this, if you see several of these put together, then it'll be telling about my work, and it'll be telling about how my career has developed or not. But it also has to do with the expectation of and how people put expectations on artists, and for example, if somebody buys a work, things like that. What happens is that every time somebody makes a decision like that, they're trying to make you responsible for it as well. I mean, you take responsibilities in that sense. It is. I mean, the work is about that too. It's about saying, well, you could trust me because I'm doing this for myself. But then if you jump in, then it's a shared responsibility. This project is sort of a development of the I Promise project. I was invited to the project in a hotel room, and I thought the way to do it was to write lyrics that will explain how I do the I Promise project. And so I wrote it and I gave it to my friend Mario Lopez Landa, which is it's a collaboration with him, this project. And he put music to that, and the idea was to have a sound piece in that hotel room, so that when you come, you understand, you think that promise had been made there. I want to think of my work, or the way that I develop my work. It has two different sides of it. One of it is projects that require a lot of time, and most of the time involve a large amount of investigation. And so those are projects that take time and effort, and I personally don't see many results in immediate terms. And then I have other works that have to do with more intimate and more personal questions, and those most of the time have to do with my own problematics of creating, and my own sort of, I sometimes call them studio questions. This show, it's more about those acts, those more simple gestures that have to do with my own thinking, with thinking about my own process. The slide piece downstairs, it's a little bit of a continuation of these more intimate personal projects, and one thing that it also connects with the other more ambitious projects and projects that have to do with presenting a certain type of information. The piece downstairs is, in a way, it's a way of thinking that maybe the people who did subtitles was in my same situation, and that or I want to believe that I could be in their situation. I want to be identified with them, and I think that maybe we could also think about them as being some kind of artist, and that's why the title says they could have promised as well. They could have made that promise of making the best of themselves to do that job. The slideshow is a rather abstract editing of a number of images that I took without really. I mean, they weren't taken to be a slideshow. Most of them were taken just as tourist photographs, and so I feel like downstairs it should be considered almost like a small cinema, and then from here you could see the projection booth. First of all, I'm interested in art itself, and I'm interested in the implications of doing art. And in that sense, I try to make reflections of my own work and also reflections on other type of people, or reflections on other artists and works of other artists, and not only visual artists, but sometimes filmmakers or theater people or whatever. So I think I want to believe that my work deals with that, deals with questioning the implications of creation in a way.